Live on my
What's up?
page
This is Chris,
today.
the Stat Guy, and welcome to the Stat Guy Show. What is up? Welcome to the Stat Guy Show, episode number 78. Joining me tonight is a No Prep Kings veteran who is 10th all time in round wins
Oof,
and
not bad.
loves all things pink. Mr. Dean
Yes.
Carnes. How
How
you
you
doing,
guys
man?
doing? Living the dreams, what they tell me.
Hey, man, good to see you. I'm glad we finally got to link up.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit, but I appreciate you. I know how
No,
busy
I'm
you are,
I'm
man, so I
sorry. I'm so
appreciate
hard.
this.
I'm so sorry. It's hard to get with. It's just the business is swamped right now. We got the Firebird. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do on small tires. All these small tire races are like everywhere for big money. I got the Cadillac sitting there. I got the Chevelle sitting there. I got the Rod Knocker sitting there. I'm like, what are we going to do, hun? She's like, put smalls on one of them. Just make your mind up. So it's just just not enough time in the day.
Yeah, I got you. I got you, man. Well, the first thing I want to get on to right away is we got to talk about this, and I got a
Yeah.
picture.
Okay.
Is this bad boy right here?
Oh
So
yeah.
this whole off season, it was I didn't really know about it. I heard you were building a car, I had no idea what it was going to look like or anything like that.
Yep.
And then bam, all of a sudden one day on social media, there it was. I was like,
Yeah.
this thing is badass. So how long was this coming? How long you been working on this?
I would say it took about again is about 9 months. The car started its life as a Dan Page. He's a guy out of northeastern United States. Builds a lot of like top alcohol cars, maybe some funny cars. He's only did a handful of pro mods. And obviously it was a full-fledged pro mod. I can't afford to build one of these cars from the ground up anymore. They're wanting like 250 to 300,000 rolling with no motor, no trans, sometimes no electronics. So I bought this from the guy they called Nova Joe. He drove for
Mm-hmm.
Fletcher Cox.
Yep.
So I bought the car from Nova Joe. It was a 70 and a half Camaro. Obviously stripped all the carbon fiber body off of it. Took it to, well, actually Larry Hauk at Hauk Fab. If you know Larry, he's got the he's been doing really well in small tire and backside racing. They call it the bracket car. Have you seen the Grand Prix he has?
I don't think I have, no.
Okay, so he's making a statement. He's around. He went down there and raced the all wheel drive stuff and did some shit like that. And he won. He went to like Rockingham, won big tire behind the backside or whatever all that is. So anyway, Larry also built the Cadillac. So
Okay.
I said, hey, this is my idea. This is what I want to do. I want to do a car that nobody's ever done. You know me. I like to do Cadillac, Chevelle. Not to be rude to anybody, but I just don't want to do a Camaro or a Mustang. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
I
got you.
know those parts are readily available, but I just I want something different. I just want something unique, And as a kid, everybody loved that, the Smokey and the Bandit, Burt Reynolds
Mm-hmm.
'78 Firebird. So I said I want to do a Firebird. Obviously, I want to do it pink, and I got with
Yeah.
Voigtnot, and I told him I said, look, I want to make my own pink. This is kind of how I want it to be. I want gold leaf for the bird. I want it to look exactly factory, T tops, everything. If somebody took a picture of it, it would look like a factory Firebird. So
Mm-hmm.
I got John from the Second Gen Graveyard. Got me a bunch of parts. There's so many people that's helped out. It's just it's one of those situations where I took a pro mod car, converted it to a steel roof and quarter car to make it
Mm-hmm.
heavier. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
to make everything fit. People think that it's just replacing the body on there and you go. It just doesn't work like that. There's so much fabbing in it because pro mod cars are so narrow and so chopped and channeled. And then you put a
Mm-hmm.
factory body on, it's all you have to do a lot of work to make it look good. And Larry does an excellent job of making it look like, I have an image in my head. Hey, I want it to look like this. I want it to be low in the front. I want it to be sleek. I don't want it to be, too jacked up in the rear. And he did a great job. Hal
Right.
Fab did a great job.
Now, pro mods are notoriously longer wheelbase. Did you have to? So did you adjust it The wheelbase at
It's
all?
within 2 inches of what the factory is.
Oh, it
So
was. Oh,
what? Yeah,
okay.
our rules have always been steel roof and quarters, and
Yep.
plus or minus 2 or 2.5 inches from whatever factory specs are. And
Right.
I want to say it's 111 is what it is, if I'm
Okay.
not mistaken. Yeah, obviously one wheel's stretched out than the other. 111, one
Right. Yeah.
twelve,
Yeah.
110, 111, whatever that is.
Right.
So and if your carbon people or your fiberglass people don't know that you have stagger in your car, then you got one wheel looks all goofy and one wheel well and one's all forward. So
Yeah.
you kind of gotta make it right. So, but it
Well,
turned
it's
out really
badass,
good,
man.
man.
Hell
Thank you,
yeah,
thank you.
it's beautiful.
It's
Um,
everything, and I've wanted and more.
yeah, and talk about why. I would say you and your caddy had a great season of No Prep Kings. Why did you want another car?
Well, I mean, I hate to say it this way, but you got to keep up with the Martins, the Museys, and and the Kellys. I mean, and the Murder Novas. Now it's like Ryan has multiple cars, Kai has multiple cars. He built the Regal, and then he went
Hmm.
back to the Gen 3, or what is that, Gen 3 Camaro,
Third gen.
right?
Yep.
Well, then
Yep.
Ryan had the red car with the screw blower. Then he obviously built the gray car. Well, then he kind of went back to the red car, and then
Hmm.
you hear that he's got something new, and technology has come so far from where we started doing this. What is this going to be, our eighth season, I think? So
Eighth No Prep King season.
okay,
Yep.
so when this started, my first Chevelle was built by a guy named Tad Froderman. Okay, that car was built to run 7.0 index at a, what was that, super Chevy shows, right? That's all it's built for. And I'm out there literally going 380s in this thing, 5 6 years ago, holding on for
Yeah.
dear life. So, in this meantime, Pro Mod has progressed. Things have changed in the rear ends. Thing has changed in the suspension. Things have changed in the chassis. Um, and if you don't keep up with that and make these changes, then you just keep trickling further and further behind. So
Hmm.
I moved from, I think Tad said he built that car in 90 something. Let's say it was around 93, 95, whatever. It's in the 90s. And then I found the Cadillac was wrecked. It was, that is gosh, I can't remember the guy's name that built it. He does pro mods, does a lot of, babe, who built the Cadillac first? Do you remember the guy's name on the door? God, you guys are gonna kill me. Anyway, this car was Stephen Wiley, not Stephen Wiley's. What's the guy's name that runs Pro Mod? That him and his wife. They run Pro Mod. They got a funny car. They got a top alcohol dragster. Anyway, his son drove this in Pro Mod. It's a full fledged Cadillac Pro Mod. Jerry Haas. It's a Haas car.
Okay.
Haas. It was a Jerry Haas car. So he sold it to somebody. This guy had an accident and wrecked it. So I bought it wrecked.
Mm.
Little did I know that a Pro Mod Cadillac compared to a factory roof and quarter Cadillac is night and day difference. So I went to the junkyard down here in Hamilton, Ohio. The guy hooked me up with the CTSV body. I had roof quarters, fenders, everything. Had to gut it. I took it to Larry Houck. I said, "Hey, I want to put this body on this Cadillac. Let's do it." It's already set
Hmm.
up for it. We go to put this body on there, man. It is just, it does. It looks like a demolition derby car when you first put it together, because the roll cage didn't fit with the windows. I mean, it was just totally different. So Larry did a shit ton of work to make it fit, make it right. Obviously, it turned out beautiful. And
Hmm.
the Cadillac was, the motors out a little further than I wanted to. And when they took us back to the 34.5 tire, it took a lot of work to get the car to work properly compared to on the 36. You put a
Okay.
36 on it, it goes down Broadway anywhere, has a great time. You put the
Yeah.
34.5 on it and try to go out there and haul ass, it turns into a little bit of a handful at the gear
Hmm.
change. So we've been working with Goodyear on a tire, because there's really only one tire left to run. That's a 34.5. So we have to do some
Yeah.
competition. I've been working with Bill at Goodyear. We've been designing a tire for 34.5. Finally, we got the tire good. The Cadillac's been good. I've been working on it. It took a lot of weight transfer. I've got around 70 to 150 pounds in the trunk that is needed to make the ballast right, to make the car handle properly, and to get through the gear change and all the stuff you need to do. So naturally, the car is 100 and something overweight. What needed to happen was the motor needed to be moved back in the car. Let's
Okay.
make a hypothetical number. Let's say the motor needed to be 78 or 80 inches out from the center line of the axle. And I think it sits in that car like 82 or 83. But when I first got
Mm,
it, it sat out 86 because it was a
wow.
clutch car.
Yeah.
So with a 36-inch tire, it's not as crucial. But when you start limiting your traction and then limiting the surface that we have to work with, you have to make traction somehow so you can go down. So what we did is we shortened the four link bars, moved the rear end forward 2 inches. That moved the motor back a little bit further. It's kind of cheating the system. Instead of cutting the whole car apart just to move the
Yeah.
motor back, I mean it costs like 20 to 50 grand to be able to do that. That's just not it's not economical for me to do
No,
that. If I'm going to
not
do
at
that,
all.
I said, well, if the motor needs to be moved out, this way happens. I'm going to put that 50 towards another new car instead of just into this one. So
Yeah.
we got it hauling ass last year. We were running some high 70s, some mid 70s here and there.
Yeah.
As you can see, I was neck and neck with Murder Nova multiple times. There's
Yep.
2 or 3 times we ran. We were within inches of each other, and he won those races. And then obviously he beat me one in the final. So
Hmm.
is the caddy good? Yes, it is great. How much better it would be if I can get that 100, 120 out of the trunk? You see what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
that's where I'm thinking.
Yeah.
That's where my mind's going.
Yep.
If I can get 120 off this car, I mean that's 500, 600 faster. I'm over here losing by thousandths. That's a
Right.
big change.
Yep.
So that's when the plan got initiated, and we started building the '78 Firebird.
Yeah. Well, you had an awesome season. Let's stick on last season, the No Prep Kings.
Yeah.
In my opinion, you had a great season. It
Yes.
was night and day different from the season before. How do
Mhm.
you think overall? How do you think your season went last year?
It was all great until the week before. Where was we at? Alabama. So I don't know if people know this, but me and Kai are really great friends. We talk all the
Hmm.
time. We talk about life. We do a lot of stuff together. And I was struggling the season before pretty hard with the Cadillac. He said, "Hey man, why don't you let Jeff come over and help you?" Well, Jeff is Kai's tuner. Everybody knows now.
Jeff Pierce. Yep.
And I was like, "Man, I really don't want to share tuners. That kind of gets tricky." He's like, "Dude, just
Yep.
get on your feet and get running." Well, me and Jeff, formed a great relationship. Me and Jeff hit it off great, and we started hanging out, started talking. He got the Cadillac hauling ass. Everything's good. I'm telling him, from the seat of my pants, this is what it's doing. I need to do this. He tells me we got to do this. So anyway, make a long story short, we got the car hauling ass, running 70s, whatever, 80s whenever we needed. But it was still a little bit on edge. It was just feisty. You know what I mean? It wasn't
Hmm.
like smooth all the time, but it was still a great car. And it come to the week before Alabama, and as you know, once we did the playoffs, where if you
Yep.
weren't in, the field was set every weekend. Like you
Yeah.
knew, I'm driving to Alabama, I'm running Kai first round. Well,
Right.
when you're running Kai first round and he lets you use your tuner, I mean, I feel like a piece of shit. Like, hey, how we gonna do this? So, I called Jeff. I said, hey, what do you want me to do here, dude? I said, I don't want to. I don't want to step on Kai's toes because I'm blessed enough that Kai let me use you as a tuner and move my
Yeah.
program this much further forward. And I don't want to feel like I'm getting secondhand tuning information because
Right.
Kai is your number one guy. What do we
Yep.
do in this situation? And I was stressed out. I was like, well, look, I'll just tell Jeff not to tune me this weekend. Me and Kai's not going to get into beef over this. I'm like, Kai, what do you want to do? He's like, dude, it is what it is. We'll figure it out. So
Hmm.
I went to Jeff and I said, hey, I got a couple ideas. You let me know what you think. A, you just help me tune on Friday night while we're testing, and then turn the reins over to me. I'll tune my shit on Saturday. There ain't gonna be no hard feelings. It is what it
Yeah.
is. B, I'll just hire another tuner for the weekend, right? That
Hmm.
way there's no conflict of interest, no nothing. And then next week or whatever, as long as we don't run each other, we'll go back to normal. Or C, you tell me what you think. And he goes, well, if you're going to let another guy tune your car, first of all, me and you'd be done. I was like, oh, okay. So that's out, right? I was like, okay, okay. He says, listen, I know you and Kai are friends, and me and you are good friends. He said, I do this all the time in PDRA and Midwest Pro Mod. He says, there's multiple cars.
Yeah.
I mean, one time I think he was tuning, don't quote me, 9 or 11 cars in one weekend. Now, this is probably with me and Kai remote tuning because he's at this
Yeah.
location or
Yeah.
whatever. He says,
Yep.
listen, I do this all the time. It doesn't matter if it's a father son, a father daughter, two good guys that are friends. He says, I'm going to tune your car to go as fast as it goes. If it knocks the tires off, obviously it's the tuner's fault. I'm going to tune Kai's car to go as fast as it can go. If it knocks the tires off, obviously it was my fault. He says, now if you go out there and go red, you go out there and you're late, you can't drive the car, that's not on me. So I'm just going to
Mm-hmm.
give you everything you need to win, or as fast as I feel you can go safely, and I'll do the same thing for Kai. Well, we all
Yeah.
know Kai's car is naturally faster than mine right now, so I'm like, I know I got to do something. I got to pull something out of the bag.
Right.
So mind you, I'm stressed out all week going to Alabama. At this time, I think I was somewhere between third and sixth in the points. I think I was sitting fourth or fifth in the points. So I
Okay.
had a
Yep.
chance to win the championship. And
Right.
as you know, the last four races are double
Yeah.
points, points and a
Double
half.
points. Yeah.
Because
Yep.
one round means like you're going to the quarters if you just win one round.
Mm-hmm.
So I go up there and watch Kai. He's struggling. He's struggling. He makes one clean, good rip. And then we go out there, we struggle, knock tire off, struggle, knock tire off, struggle, knock tire off. So we didn't make one pass. We figured out what had happened that night. We got to run Kai first round in the morning, and I got lane choice. You know what I mean? I end up drawing. I know that Kai hates a certain lane. I'm not going to put it on here, but I know Kai hates a certain lane, right? So what am I going to do? I got to play all the cards. I know his car's faster than mine. Even Jeff said he is. You're not as fast as Kai. Just so you know. Well, yeah, rub it in, Jeff. I know that. All right. So we figured out about how far behind I am. So me and Kai are always competitive on the tree all the time. He always talks about how we go back and forth on the tree, who we think's the best person on the tree, blah blah that. So I had a mindset what I was going to do, how I was going to trim. If I could take three or four hundreds on the tree, I think we had a
Mm-hmm.
car that could go rounds and make it to a final and put me further up into points. Sure enough, he got the lane that he didn't want to get. I go up there with the mindset to absolutely tattoo the tree, and do I do that? Yes, I do. I tattoo it. I let go of it. Perfect. I feel 100% great. I let go of it. I go past the tree, and it turns pink. And I'm so sick because I look over, and Kai has already aborted the run.
Yeah.
So I didn't even need
Yeah.
to. I didn't even
Not at
need
all.
a stellar
No.
pass, and so I'm kicking myself in the ass the rest of the night, and that pretty much took me out of the points chase. Because
Mm-hmm.
that's just where it was. Everybody else won two or three rounds, and then you move up so much you can't even make it up anymore. So
Right.
that was my downfall. Was that round? It's nobody's fault but my own. I had to do my job. I felt like I did my job. It just turned pink. I did my job a little too good. But it is
Yeah.
what it is. What are you going to
Yeah,
do? You
man.
can't.
That
But
happens.
that's the one time it's like the things weren't falling my way. The one time I could have missed the tree, fell asleep and did nothing, and still would have got the win light because his run
Mm-hmm.
was aborted. And I asked him, I said, "Why'd you abort the run?" You didn't see I was all the way up against the wall at 100 feet. And I was like, "No, I'm over here cussing myself because the tree turned pink when I went past it."
Yeah, man.
So
Man, yeah, that was
that
a
was
tough
the
one.
that was a tough one. So I had a rough week that week coming up to that race, and then after that race, then swallowing my pride, knowing that the whole season was my own fault.
Yeah. Right. I got you. Earlier in the season, I think it was Kentucky.
Hmm.
Kentucky, you found yourself in the finals
Yes.
uh, against Sean, knowing at
Yes.
the time that you had never won invitational finals. Was that
Yes.
in your mind at all? Did the same
No.
kind of mindset, like I gotta, I gotta cut a huge light here, and I
No.
gotta
I
get
mean,
out front of Sean?
that's part of my bracket racing history is being good on the tree. I mean, if you ask the majority of the people, I would say they would agree that I'm one of the better people on the tree. Not trying to be a bragger, but there's people we know that just they kind of do what they do to get by and they're there. And then there's people that try to go into attack mode. And then there's people that go out there and try to jump deliberately to win races, which if your car's not fast, that's what you have to do. I understand it. But it's
Hmm.
it's also a risk reward doing that. If that thing turns red, and like in my situation, I could have idled down the track basically if I'd have went 100 feet and lifted and still beat Kai. But I turned it
Yeah,
pink and I'm out for the round. So I know that I can usually tree Murder Nova by 3 or 4 hundreds. So there's 3 or 4 hundreds, right? That's what I got. And then watching, and again, we have no ETs. We don't know what Murder Nova runs. We don't know what Ryan runs. We can just watch his pass from the stands, from whoever's live, and we're like, all right, that looks like he went three, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, all
yeah.
right, so let's tune to this. And it got greasy at Bowling Green. The sun was out all day.
Mhm.
It started coming down. And I know the tree is a problem there when the sun's setting because it is behind the
Behind it,
tree.
yeah.
You can look at any picture of that final from the starting line, and you cannot
Yep.
see the pre-stage stage bulbs at all. So I knew going into there, I knew how to deal with the sun. I knew that it'd be a problem for Sean. I should be able to tree him, no problem, And uh, we get out there, we put a tune up in it. Jeff decides to hop it up a little more than what what I wanted, but at the same time, he's like, "Look, we know we're slowing him. We're going to depend on you to cut the light, and I'm going to try to grab a couple more in the middle." Okay, I'm with it. I mean, let's do something. Let's
Yeah.
go out of our normal routine element. Hey, I'm one of those guys. I like to make. I hate to say it like this, but S to F runs. I don't like saying A to B. I go S to F, start to finish. I want to make start to finish passes. The more start to finish passes you make, the more knowledge you get. The more knowledge you get, the faster you can
Mhm.
go at any time. And the less aborted runs is easier on parts. So I'm always one of those guys. If I'm running Ryan Martin or if I'm running Murnova or Robin Roberts, somebody that we know is fast, I'll tell Jeff, look, put a tune up in it that 100% in your heart it'll go, tickle it just a little bit. Let me do the rest driving. I don't
Yeah.
shift my motors at 10,000. I don't shift them at 10.2, 10.6. My motors get shifted at 9,300. Why? Because that's what my right front pocket allows, right? So
That's
he
it.
stepped it up a little in the middle. It spun at the shift. We hung with Merton over for about 60 feet, maybe 80 feet. We were side by side. 100 feet to 200. He pulled about three quarters of a car on me and stayed out there a little bit. I was dancing a little loose in the center. And, the Pro Charger tends to run a little better in that section when the weather's not as good sometimes. And he
Hmm.
beat us by, I want to say, around a car or something like that. And
Yeah.
that's just how it goes. I've been in two finals on Saturday night. One versus Lutz, which was a photo finish, would have been my first win, and then one versus Motor Nova, where he kicked me in the dick for a car length. But anytime
Yeah.
you can make it to the final is just,
Oh yeah.
I'm ecstatic. Yeah. If I like I said, I told him last year, I said, if I could just go out here and go runner up every weekend, I would not be mad. I would
Not at
not be
all.
mad. And more than likely, if you went runner up every weekend, you could still win the championship.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you definitely will. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So
For
consistency
sure.
can pay off like that.
Yeah, for sure. It'll come. We saw Scott Taylor. We saw
Yep.
Scott Taylor win his first this year.
Yep.
Um, and you're right there, Disco. You were right there, especially this
Listen,
past
I
season. You're
love
right there,
Scott
man.
Taylor. He's my dude. But he got the luckiest rounds of his life in Michigan, dude. You can still ask him to this day. I promise you, he said those were the luckiest rounds he's ever had in a row consecutively. But that's what it takes sometimes. I mean, that's
Yeah,
just what, not taking anything away from him, but you at least have to have luck one or two rounds on your side for something. Like,
you would
let's say
hundred
this.
percent.
Let's
Yes.
say this, okay? Let's go back to the semifinals at Bowling Green. It's me
Okay.
versus Robin Roberts, and it's Ryan Martin versus Murder Nova. Right now,
Yep.
Ryan Martin is a car length out on Murder Nova at 330, 350 feet. A full car out on Murder Nova.
Hmm.
Ryan grenades a motor completely, knocks the starter off the block. Murder Nova beats Ryan by inches. Right.
Yep. I remember that. Yep. Yep.
Now, if Ryan's car would have stayed together another tenth of a second, maybe just 2/10 of a second, he blows his motor that much later, gets the round win, and then I would have been in the final with nobody for my first ever win because Ryan Martin would have been broke with no spare motor. I mean, it was Giger. It blew the start. It did everything. It was a bad, catastrophic event. The one
Yeah.
time I needed Ryan Martin to pull through for a win light, and I couldn't get it. You know what I mean? So I mean, it just go. And
Uh,
my crew guy Jesse brought that up to me. Is if uh if Ryan Martin's car would have been about another 10 or 11 feet under power, we
yep.
would have had a buy run in the final. And I'm like, gosh, damn,
Yeah.
just tell me
How,
now, yeah, right.
hypothetically, how would you have felt? Would you know how guys will
I,
say? You know how guys will say, "I want to earn it," but really though, do you? I mean,
Yeah, I mean that would have been a picture perfect like dream stage weekend. It's our
yeah.
first ever win, and there was nobody next to me. How's this happen? You go out here and get your brains beat in for 7 years, and then you come to the
Yep.
final, and there's nobody there to run you. But and
Uh,
fortunately or unfortunately, it didn't happen that way. So
yeah,
I
man.
just
Let's talk. Let's talk speed promotions.
yes,
A couple weeks ago, we saw you post a video.
mm-hmm.
You were spitting some facts about the upcoming speed promotions racing season.
Yes.
How excited are you, not only for the drivers yourself, but for the fans for this season?
Well, I'm ecstatic. I mean, the one good thing is now you see Discovery's playing the ones that are in the can from season six. They have full season six there. They got the locals only there. The
Hmm.
fans are getting to see it. They're getting that feeling back, the vibe. Everything they're asking for is right there. So in the midst of all this turmoil between Discovery and Warner Brothers Studios and the money woes and whatever's going on, in Hollywood,
Yep.
Speed Promotion stepped up and said, "Look, we believe in you guys. We know there are hundreds of thousands of people across the United States that want to come watch you guys race. We're going to go ahead and support this. We're going to take control of this, and we're going to do this in the meantime until we figure out this TV deal." You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And obviously, if these numbers are good and Discovery see these great numbers again and people want this on, then it should move right back to where everybody wants it.
Yep.
You get so many people upset. How come you're not on Discovery at Monday at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock? What's going on? Where you been? How come we didn't even know you were on YouTube last year? What happened? They've been trying to get it out there for the
Yeah.
people to see, but unfortunately, a lot of these people that watch the show may not be on social media. They may not
Right.
have YouTube. They may not have a Roku TV or have a TV that has apps on it. They just
Yeah.
have I'm on my couch at 9 o'clock on Monday night. I'm on Discovery.
Yeah.
Why aren't you on there?
Yep.
Unfortunately, there's no other way to get to these people but social media. I
Hmm.
mean, we can't run an ad in a newspaper, every local newspaper. So, we have to do as much as we can. We need to branch out on every social media, whatever platform, if it's TikTok, if it's Instagram, if it's, Facebook, whatever it is, and get the
Yeah.
people notified that, hey, Speed Promotion is behind us. They picked up the slack. We're moving 100% forward.
Hmm.
Full throttle, 100% forward. Same thing. We're running for $40,000. We've opened it up bigger and wider for more people to compete, not only against us but with us.
Yep.
Everybody's used to thought that the Street Outlaws was this secret meeting you can't get
Yeah.
in. Oh, how do you
Right.
get into one of these races? Now, listen, if you have a steel roof and quarter car, okay, all it has to be is a car with steel roof and quarters, doors that open, right? I
That's
don't
it.
care
Yep.
if you have one power adder, two power adders, three power adders, if you're pro charged with the screw blower, turbo with nitrous, doesn't matter. Steel roof and quarters, show up and you can run in the Outlaw 32 with us. I mean, that's
Yeah,
pretty
man.
wide open. I mean,
Yep.
that
Yep.
and
And
it's going to be exciting for the fans because it brings it back to that street style racing where you just showed up with your car and who cared about what tire size, how much your car weighed, just show up with it and race.
yep. And they've changed the formats this year too. So now we all know there's three different types of races. So you'll
Yes.
have your 7 points races.
Yep.
There's three races in Canada, and then there's
Yep.
going to be two small tire events, one no prep and one radial, I believe.
Yep.
Are you going to be doing all of it, Disco?
Well, I have 100% full intentions of doing that. Right now, I've got two motors. I've got the one in the car and the spare, so I don't have anything in the Cadillac or anything in the Chevelle. They're just sitting there with
Hmm.
transmissions, cans, converters, ready to go. So I'll have to rob Pete to pay Paul, take one motor, the spare motor for the Firebird to put in there. But I've been talking to
Hmm.
Bart, which was my crew chief for a long time. We've been longtime friends. He's down in Kentucky, and he's like, "Hey, I got this motor sitting in the Corvette. What about we just slap this motor in the Caddy or the Chevelle and put it on Smalls?" I was like, "Hey, let's do that. We can do that." So we were talking about that yesterday. I uh I rung Boosted's bell. I said, "Hey, listen, man, you got that nice Corvette there, and look at this. Check this. You got that nice Corvette there, Boosted, and I went and got me a fresh pair of New Balances. So
Those are nice.
how
Those are
about
nice.
since you're gonna be talking on the mic and too busy in Bowling Green?" How about I sit my little fat ass down in that Corvette and let me run it on Smalls? So he said it's a possibility.
Okay.
Would I love to do it? Yes. But I don't know. I called Kai. I said, hey, let me let me take old Jangalang out there on
There you
Smalls
go.
at Bowling Green. I said, here's what I'll do. I'll drive it. I'll tune it. I'll do all the shit. I'll pay for the fuel. Do everything we need to do. Get the crew guys there, and whatever I win, we'll split it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
then he goes and puts it in the bunker last week. So
Yeah,
so
he did. Yeah, he did. Yep.
yeah, so I feel bad because I don't want to ask him for that after he's just going to fork out a bunch of money to get it fixed and all that shit. So, and that's another dangerous thing. You drive somebody's car and something bad happens. You know,
Yeah.
look at a situation where, let's say it's not even your fault. let's say somebody goes into tire shake and breaks an oil line and goes sideways and drives into the side of me, and I'm in Kai's car. It's not necessarily my fault, right?
Right.
But now,
Yeah.
what happens to Kai? He's just going to be out a $200,000 roller car
Yeah.
because I was driving. I mean, technically, it have to be my fault because it wouldn't have been on the track at that time if I wasn't driving it.
Yeah. Very
So,
true.
there's just so many variables to think about. And especially if that track's going to be sketchy, it's going to be off the trailer racing. I definitely
Yeah.
don't want to hop in somebody's car and just run off the trailer in a car you never drove before. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I may just put everything back in the Chevelle. The Chevelle was hauling ass on smalls. Obviously, when we went to Australia, it was a really good car. It was fast. It was a handful down track. We've learned some suspension things since then. I think we can get a handle on that.
Hmm.
So more than likely, the we're going to put a motor in the Chevelle, and the Chevelle will show up on smalls. Now, if I get really, really pumped up, I may put the Cadillac on smalls, but I don't know if the Cadillac needs a new rear end housing to do that because it sits so low anyway. With
Hmm.
a 34.5 on it, and you go to a 28.10.5, it just lowers. I mean, when it leaves, the rocker touches the ground now. So I put a 28.10.5 on it. We're going to be out there sliding around like a Mandalorian or something.
Yeah. So, would you thinking about it? I mean, the Chevelle has done you well. The last
Yes.
time we've seen the,
Yeah.
Australia, the last
Yep.
small tire race that Disco did.
Yeah.
It wasn't for that start on that one.
Yeah.
And I mean, you brought it. Yeah, you brought it up. That you're right. Bowling Green, straight off the trailer. I mean, you might. Some of those chassis cars are going to be maybe too much power. Maybe they're going to be
Yeah.
battling the
Well,
surface all
the
weekend.
here's the problem though. There's a lot of those cars. Let's do hypothetical numbers. When you start off bare concrete, bare asphalt, whatever, if you go five anything, you're doing something, whether it's
Yeah.
550, 560, five flat. I know it doesn't sound fast, but when you just take this thing straight out here to Walmart parking lot and rip off a 550 when you're testing, that's kind of like
Right.
what I mean. This off the trailer races are no joke. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that's how it starts out. But guess what?
Yeah.
128 cars is like 7 rounds. If I do my math, let's see, 128, 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2. 7 rounds,
7
right?
rounds. Yep.
So you got
Yep.
7 rounds. You're going to have a big tire, normal outlaw big tire is going to be there. Small tire gangsters are going to be there. They're probably going to be a daily driver class. So rubber
Yeah.
will get put down. Now, there's no telling how the surface will start. It may start bare. It may start just as is as we show up. There ain't no telling. You saw the track was underwater, last week. It
Yeah.
had 6 foot of
Yep.
water over the tower. So there's no telling what you're going to show up on. But I will tell you one thing.
Uh,
After 5 rounds of racing with that many cars, the track will get good somehow, some way.
True.
And
Yeah.
that's where that screw blown Hemi, the pro charged Hemi, that's where the big cubic inch nitrous motors like Kai are going to prevail. If you can make it to that
Hmm.
round. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? You don't
Yep.
need you don't need a 4 second car to win the first 2 or 3 rounds. You just don't.
Right. Yeah.
But you have to be capable of going progressively faster and being
I
able to
gotcha.
run
Yeah.
those whatever 4 second passes later in the night. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That's what has to happen.
Yeah. Canada. Let's talk about Canada.
Yeah.
So now some of the guys have talked about bringing their big tire cars. Is that what you're thinking? Going to bring
Yeah.
the
I,
Trans
I'm
Am to Canada?
my whole plan was to take the Trans Am everywhere this year until we mixed it up and threw in the small tire races. Once we did that, it, I don't know if you know, I know you're familiar with it, but to take a big tire car and make it run on smalls, you just don't put wheels and tires on it and chuck it out there. It doesn't happen like
Yeah.
that. You got to change
Yeah.
shock, you got to change four link, you got to change wheels and tires. You really should change the rear end housing. You got to do weight displacement. I mean, there's so much that goes in to change the converter. There's the fuel system. All that has to be changed. It's not just throwing
Yeah.
small tires on it, rolling it out. So I really, we went out of the box and really, really, really went fast with the Firebird. The very first pass. I mean, when you're in a brand new car and you got all this money tied up into it, your butt's puckered, you're ready to let go of the button, and you're a nervous wreck. Is it going left? Is it going to go right? Is it going to shake? What's it going to do? Is it going to knock a oil line
Hmm.
off? You don't know. I let go of the button, and it was the smoothest thing I've ever driven. It was driving to the right, which is a first for me. All my cars go left. This thing was actually driving right, which threw me for a loop. I'm like, whoa, it's going right. Like everybody wants to build a car to go right. And
Yeah.
it went right. And I'm out there and it's cruising along about a half a car, maybe a car out of the groove, and I just did lift. and they go down there and say, "Hey, what it run? What do you think it ran by the seat of your pants?" I'm pretty good, I can usually get within 4 or 5 hundreds. And we were testing, and Jesse told me what it went, and I said, "There ain't no way it went that fast." He's like, "Yeah," and I lifted it like 319 into the run, and we made basically a record pass for that point in time compared to the Cadillac. And I was
Oh
like,
well.
there is no way it was that fast off the trailer maiden voyage. This is Jeff doing the shock settings, us doing the fuel tune up, Jeff setting, let's do this, let's go with this converter, let's do this tire, and let's just mosey it down through there and see how far it goes. My
Yeah.
whole plan was to go 60 feet. I said, look, if we come down here and I can go 60 foot straight with a brand new car, I'm gonna be happy. We
Hmm.
went 300 and some feet easily, and
Yeah.
it went faster to the 330 than I'd really been in the Cadillac. And it went as fast as the Cadillac, after all of my years of building it right off the
Yeah.
trailer
Yeah.
with this car.
Yeah.
So, Jesse, everybody that's with me is like, all right, we need to go test. We go test. I said, whoa, whoa, whoa. That costs money, man. That you see this time slip right here? We worked all year to go this fast last year. Now we did it off the trailer. We're fine.
Yeah.
We're fine.
Right.
We'll build on
Yeah.
it when we get to California.
Uh-huh.
So I'm just thankful that I have so many people in my corner, like Lindsay, my dad, my family, Jesse, Decker, Bart, Jim from AMI, the Goodyear people. There's so many people. Fuel Factory. There's no way, Brent from JR1. There's no way that I could do this without all these people helping me.
Yeah.
This
Oh
is a
yeah.
very, very expensive racing style, and not only is it expensive to maintain the cars, it's expensive just to get there. I
Hmm.
mean, half the battle of the
Yeah.
race is driving to the racetrack, not getting
Driving to
ran off the
California.
road, not getting a flat tire, not having, a catastrophic breakdown. As you've seen, Kai had his Peterbilt breakdown, Murder
Oh
Nova had
yeah.
his Peterbilt breakdown. And you could get stuck, and it could cost you tens of thousands of dollars when something happens to these toters.
Yeah.
So half the battle is making it to the track,
Right.
safely,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
and it's just I'm fortunate, I'm blessed to be one of these chosen people to be able to race for a living, besides having my window tint business that is obviously very profitable. But I make a living racing too. It's an amazing life to be able to do this and be with my fiance Lindsay, and she's got her Pink Bully merchandise stuff going, and the cows
Yeah.
and the Sizz stuff. And I mean, it's just we get to live this amazing life on the road together and see all these adventures and see what life brings us every year.
Yeah, man. I enjoy following your social media.
I
It is
I
good,
listen, I
funny,
would love
wholesome stuff. It's good
I
stuff,
would
man.
love to do more. We're trying to get Kylie. Kylie just had a baby, Braxton. He's 6 months now. And she's like, I want to do the social media. That's what I want to do. I was like, all right, cool. So she picked up on it first 2 weeks. We did a bunch of cool videos. Everything's good. And then now
Yeah.
baby stuff comes up. And I'm like, look, how are we going to do all these videos? We need, look at, like, one of the kings of the social media is Swanstrom. And one of the
Yeah.
reasons why he's a king of social media is because he's consistently doing things online, whether it's
Yeah.
TikTok, whether it's, whether you like him or not, he's constantly in your face. And
Yep.
you can either watch it because you hate him or you can watch it because you like him. But
Yep.
my problem is I'm running the Tent King business. We're running the merchandise business for Stinky Pinky. I'm running the racing business. We're running the merchandise business for Pink Bully. And it's like
Hmm.
I'm just pulled every different direction, but yet I want to be doing social media and making what I feel I should be able to be making on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. I really feel that I'm missing the market there because I feel
You
like
are.
I could.
You are.
I,
You
I I
definitely are,
need
Dean.
somebody. I just need somebody to follow me around like Sonic and Tails with a camera running 24/7, and then just edit
Yeah.
all the bullshit out and find the good 25 minutes worth of Graceland. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
post it.
Yep.
But unfortunately, right now I don't have somebody to be around me 24/7 or the budget for
I
somebody
was
to
gonna
do
say
that right now.
that's not a cheap endeavor to have somebody do that either. But
No, no,
um, and speaking of, you brought it up how how expensive it is to travel.
yeah,
As of right now, the we have 10 races this season.
hmm,
Like every year, there'd probably be some added, but as of right now, it's only 10, which is less than normal.
yep,
But the first race is going to be really unknown, in my opinion, and I want to get your thoughts about this. Because with the no rules, I
hmm,
already see guys adding nitrous to their cars that have power adder of either a screw blower or pro charger.
hmm, hmm,
Um, which is going to bring up with the no rules. In my opinion, people are going to try a lot of things, and people might spend a lot more money than they normally do because there's no rules,
Yes.
because they think they can go really fast. So, what is your opinion on that? And do you think it's going to take a couple weeks before any of you even realize like what the strategy is for this year and what's going to keep you at the top?
Well, as of right now, it's 7 races for the championship.
Yep.
So my main thing is to concentrate on those 7 races. As you know, the first race we always do is usually some type of qualifier or figure things out, just figuring how the season's going to go. And it may be a points race. I'm going there to assume it's going to be one of the points races. And again, in the budget, maybe not everybody can go to California. So what
That's true.
happens if
Yep.
you got somebody that's going to plans on going to 6 of them, but he skips California and then he does
Hmm.
great the rest of the 5? You think he's going to be mad at himself for not going to California when he could have won a championship? So don't
Yeah.
let one race stop you from this whole championship, because 7 races is a nice number. It's not real stressful. It is a lot of travel. We're not going to bullshit. To run this
Yeah.
series, it's a lot of travel. We've known it from day one. That's what it takes. You got to travel.
Hmm.
So my thing is, um, I'm going to stick with what I know. Right, I know right now my car is a on numbers on paper off the trailer. My car is a top 5 or 6 car. Right
Hmm.
now, is it a top 5 or 6 car with 2 power adders? Probably not. But what happens when we get to California and the track is absolute shit? What
Yeah.
are 2 power adders going to do you? Like, we
Right.
go back to the small tire racing. You show up and the track's junk, a 550 car will get you 2 rounds.
Yeah.
So let's say my car, and again, I've never dynoed it because that's expensive, you know. Um, let's say my car makes, let's be realistic, 32 to 3,400 horsepower, right? I leave with X amount of degrees of timing out. Let's say it's got 27 degrees when I go to the button. Let's say it leaves with 15 degrees. Let's say I
Hmm.
go across the finish line with 21. I'm not using 100% of 3,300 horsepower at all.
No. No.
Why do I need a second power adder? Until I let go of the button and it's got full timing and I go across the finish line with full timing, then I'm out
Yeah.
of motor and I'm out of power. Then I got to do something different. So,
Yeah.
there's so many people that's already going to 125 over on a C rotor. The Pro Charger guys are obviously going to externally spray the Pro Charger to get
144.
the intake air temperature down. They're going to go to the 144. They're
Yep.
they're going to do all the things to have the power. So you can do one of two things in this situation. You can up your power adders. You can spray the nitrous with the Pro Charger to cool the intake air temperature, which will make it drastically different. You can take your C rotor from 92 or 93 over, run it 128, 140, whatever over you run. All right.
Hmm.
Now you can bring your RPMs back down. Now
Yeah.
you got the motor running like a scalded dog. Now you don't have to run the RPMs. You're running 10.6 and 10.3. Well, now shifted at 98, 96. So
Hmm.
there's a window in there. Now you go
Yeah.
out there, run 125 over, shifting 10.6 and 10.3. I mean, you're just going to haul mail. But when a valve spring breaks or something like that, it's
Yeah.
catastrophic.
Yep.
So uh, I don't feel the second power adder is necessary right now until those late rounds you turn into that. Like we go to Alabama International. Jason always has that track on kill. Like when we go there,
Hmm. Yeah.
99% of the people go down first round, shake the tires, and abort run because they ain't got enough power in it. That ain't what we're used to.
Yeah.
There's only like 1 or 2 tracks every year that throws us for a loop. Like, oh God, what do we do? There's traction here. Not
Right.
like
Yep.
not sometimes we'll go out there and we look at surfaces. Like, I'll never forget last year we were at Idaho, right? Boise is one of my favorite tracks because the staging lanes are downhill backwards coming to the track, and the
Hmm.
stands are over top of the staging lanes. You can
Yep.
interact with all the fans, and
Nice.
I can watch every single person make a pass. So I'm like, ooh,
Right.
I can
Yeah.
see what Larry Larson did. I can see what Kai Kelly did. I can see what Robin Roberts did. And then oh, he's pretty fast. He's sideways, whatever's going on. I really love
Hmm.
that track. We're there, and a huge, I don't know if you're there, a huge dust storm rolls through, like out of nowhere. I'm
Mm.
talking like straight out.
Got a phone call. Right in the middle of a story.
You
Well,
hear
hopefully
me?
we can get this.
There.
Yeah, yeah. You must have got a phone call, huh?
Yeah, I did, and I just instantly
Yeah.
sent him to voicemail or whatever. Then it cut my camera feed off. So we're at Boise, and all of a
Dust
sudden,
storm.
just like the movie Dune, right? Just sandstorm blows through this place. I'm talking like tents getting ripped up, shit getting flipped over, shit's chaotic, right? Well,
Hmm.
it's first round. We're sitting in the lanes, and they're like, "Fire them up, boys!" And I'm like, "Whoa!" My butt's puckered. I'm like, "Oh my god!" And then my crew guy's like, "Dude, what are you worried about?" I said, "Dude, you can literally see the sand on the track. They roll 7-0 out. Two or three 7-0 cars hit the guardrail, spin out." And then, small tire comes out. You got two spin out, one wreck. I'm like, oh my God, dude, what do we do? Oh my God. He's like, dude, what are you worried about? I said, dude, these guys don't even have 2,000 horsepower and they can't make it to the finish line. What do you want us to do? He's like, you dumbass, you got the bye run first round. You got nothing to worry about. I was so happy that I drew the bye run that race for first
Oh
round because
man.
but sometimes you come out and that's how the track is.
Yeah.
And the problem is when we race no prep, that's it. They may go out there and blow that off with a blower, but they're not going to spray it. They're not going to
No.
drag it. They're going to,
Yeah.
it's that's what we run on. Sometimes it's really good, sometimes it's really shitty. And
Hmm.
that's the thing about no prep. Every single round is different.
Yeah.
Every time you go up there, that surface is completely different than the round before,
Yep.
you know.
Yep. Agreed, man. I know it's. There was some races. Was it? Where'd you guys go last year? Towards the end of the year, the track was awesome and nobody could get down to it. It was like sticky as hell, but nobody could get down to it. Was it Virginia or North Carolina?
Was
Maybe.
it towards the end of last year?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know
North
every
Carolina,
time
right?
Alabama is always like that. I think maybe when we went to Rockingham, it might have been like that too one time. It was like at Rockingham, but I know it was like that at Alabama International, or
Yeah.
yeah, Alabama
Alabama. Yeah.
International. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
always
For
like
sure.
that there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Where
Yep.
else was it good? I'm trying to think because it's very few and far between when we show up and we're like, oh man, it's a good track. I mean, you gotta understand.
Yeah.
How can I explain this to people? Everybody, everybody has some time or another experienced what's it called when you're driving on water, then you hydroplane.
Hydroplane. Yep.
Okay, everybody's done it. Have you done it? Have
Hmm.
you been driving just
Oh
down the
yeah.
highway 50 mile an hour? All right, you know
Yep.
that feeling, and then all of a sudden your gut just runs up into your neck. You're like, whoa, and you lose all
Yeah.
sense of mobility, where you're at, what's going on. I'm sliding.
Yeah.
That is what it's like 95% of the times we make a pass at
Man,
200 mile an hour. So
that's
you can
crazy.
feel the car dancing around, right? Like you're like, all right. And you're just kind of, you can't make, fast judgments. You just kind of let the ass move around. You let it wander to where it wants to go. And if it feels like it's too far gone, that's when you just got to deadlift or the chute and just hopefully the chute snatches it straight and you just save yourself.
Man,
That's
that's
the
crazy.
only way I can explain it is like you're hydroplaning after 100 feet, about 100, 120 feet, you're set back in the seat. It's leaving. You can tell if the tire's hooked up, if the tire's spinning really good. And then it gets up on the tire for the gear change. And then all right, we got to be on top of our toes here because we're sashaying around here. We're sliding
Yeah.
around. And then you just gotta kind of let the car do what it does. Just kind of guide it as much as you can without oversteering it. Otherwise, the ass just washes out and it goes straight right or left. Now,
Yeah.
say you're in a heated race and this thing's driving left, like all these cars do, drive left, drive left. Well, then all of a sudden the left tire gets out of the groove and the right tire is stuck. Car does
Mhm.
instant left turn, Clyde. And that's how you see these cars do that.
Yeah.
But I
Yep.
think one of the things that saves us is our tracks are really never excellent, excellent. So both tires are constantly spinning, giving us that soft, gracious give to make the car kind of slide
Mhm.
around and not be hooked up and make those violent turns until you get so far
Yeah.
out of shape you can't do nothing about it.
Right. I've never heard somebody say explain it like that, but that is I can relate. You know what I mean? Like that's a that's
That's the feeling.
can't
That's the
relate to the
feeling we get
yeah, I can't
every
relate to
every
200 miles an
pass.
hour, but
Yeah,
yeah.
and yeah, do it instead of doing it at 55, do it at 200. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh
Just kind of,
shit.
well, I'm gonna let her go where she needs to go here. And that's why some of them times you see these cars, two, three cars out of the groove, and you're like, they're still in it. What are they doing? Well, it must feel like it's going somewhere straight and not being completely upset. And
Yeah.
there's times where I'm headed straight to the finish line cone, like dead on, and I'm like, I think I'll be fine. I think I'll be fine. And then you just get to the finish line and you lift and get it out of there. You just it's a terrible feeling sometimes, man. Sometimes I'm like, can we just go to prepped racing, please? I just want to feel confident when I let go of the button and know my car's going to go straight. But that's one of the equalizers of the racing we do is that the track constantly changes. The track changes every time you go from one racing place to another. That there's no two times you showed up and put the exact same tune-up in off the trailer when you went to Virginia, then went to New Hampshire, and then went to Georgia. You're just there's no all right. Here's my round one tune-up. It's just not
Yeah.
like that. You build
Right.
off of what you learned last week or the week before, or the last time you were at that track, and then you
Yep.
built something from there. And then you show up and you let go of the button, and it knocks the tire off in 5 feet, and you're like, "Well,
Yeah.
this was good last year. What happened now?"
Yeah. For sure.
So yeah,
As you see in the comments, you never even know, like Rockingham. That was it. They had a
yeah, that's
radio
what.
race. They had a radio race the
Yes,
weekend before. So
yeah, that's what I
it was a
thought. I
good
thought it was at
surface.
Rockingham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But hey, Disco, I don't want to keep you all night, man. I
Okay.
appreciate you coming on.
All right. I appreciate you listening to my mouth. It feels like I've done all the talking for 50 minutes, dude. I'm
You
sorry. I
did a
feel
great
bad.
did a great job, man. It was awesome.
Thank you.
I wish, hey man, I wish you the best of luck. I think as a fan myself, I'm really excited for this season. Just like you said, with locals only being on TV right now, it's
Hmm.
awesome. Like that's how I started watching Street Outlaws was on on Discovery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it feels
Abs-
like it's back, man. It really does. And then
yes.
hopefully they'll show season 6 of regular No Prep Kings, and this season starts, in about a month. It's going
Yep.
to be exciting, man. So I appreciate you coming on.
No
I know.
problem. And if anybody needs to know what's going on, go visit Speed Promotions. Anything Speed Promotions will tell you when, where, how, what time we're going to be there. You got any questions? Write Speed Promotions. Follow all of our pages. Hell, right into Discovery. If you got questions, say, hey, where's this show at? Why ain't we here? What's going on? Are they coming back on? The more they see that feedback, the more we can get back to our normal routine where everybody's happy and they can see us on the couch on Monday or Tuesday nights or whatever night
yes,
they have us. But in
yes,
the
for sure, man.
meantime, you gotta go to Speed Promotions to catch us, know where to go, how to see us, how to watch us, and go to the Foat to get the tickets.
Yes, sir. You heard it here from Disco Dean. Appreciate you, man.
All
Have a
right,
good
thank
night.
you. You too, buddy.
See ya.
See ya. Disco Dean, Stinky Pinky, and we out.